Catherine says, why do so many people not understand what's happening with Bitcoin? People look at me like I'm crazy when I talk about it at work. Catherine, I don't know. I went through the same thing. I'm sure everybody watching here has gone through the same thing. I think the big thing, there's a couple different reasons for this. And it's a good question because I think about this all the time. But I think that the main reason, truly, is because they think Bitcoin's out of reach. They see $98,000 Bitcoin. Most people don't even know what the price is. I watched a video of people on the street. The interviewer was asking, would you rather have Taylor Swift tickets or 1 Bitcoin? And the video was extremely painful to watch, for sure. There was a lot, it was mostly women, of course. Taylor Swift fans are mostly women. But I'd say 70% of people on the video said that they would rather have Taylor Swift tickets than 1 Bitcoin, which just goes to show how far out of touch people are with reality and what's important and what's happening. And unfortunately, I did paint a very bleak image for women. And I think that had to do with Taylor Swift. I was trying to think of something I could use for an analogy of men that would be the same kind of thing, maybe Masters tickets. But I still think most men would do quick mental math in their head and be like, okay, well, I can probably get to the Masters for like $50,000. I'll have $50,000 left over in Bitcoin. But it's sad, truly. But I think that's a big one. I think that most people see $98,000 and they think, you know, I don't even have $900 in my bank account. So why would I pay any attention to what's happening in Bitcoin? Screw those guys and girls. So the unit bias is big. And that's why I think that once Bitcoin gets to $1 million, that's when everything's going to change. And it's a big number. It's a round number. But the other thing that's going to happen there at $1 million per Bitcoin is 1 cent will equal 1 sat. So we won't be looking at, nobody's going to know what the price of Bitcoin is anymore at that point, because they're going to see it like a penny stock. They're going to see sats. Oh, they're only 1 cent. That's why I said my favorite altcoin is sats. Most people just don't know what sats are yet. That's why I called this channel 88 sats, part of the Bitcoin project. But because, you know, in 10 years from now, nobody's going to know what the price of Bitcoin is. They're going to know what the price of sats are. And so all of a sudden you're going from 1 sat equals 1 cent to 1 sat equals 5 cents to 1 sat equals 50 cents. And they see it going up just like a penny stock. But in the background, Bitcoins went from like 1 million to 50 million. And when that happens, that's when things for Bitcoiners, that's why it's so important to just get as many sats as you can at this stage. Don't worry about the price. Don't worry about anything else. Just get as many sats as you can. But Bitcoiners are going to know what it's worth. But most people just see sats going from 1 cent to 10 to 50 to $1. And when it hits $1, we're 100 million. 1 sat per equals $1 parity. Then it's like, okay, that's game over. So that's a big one, is the unit bias. Most people don't think that they can afford it, so they don't even bother looking at it. But the other one is just because of, you know, most Bitcoiners are out of the world of fiat for the most part, or on their way out of it. But the majority of people are still in that system and they're still struggling. They're seeing their grocery prices get more expensive. Life is getting much harder for them. They're working harder. They're earning less. And so they don't have time. They go to work all day. They can barely afford to pay the bills. They come home, they just want to shut their brain down. They watch Netflix for 4 hours a night and go to bed, do it all again. That's the reality for most people. The people who are in the fiat world, it's a rat race. It's just trying to keep up. And then when you're not working, you're just shutting your brain down, numbing your brain. So unit bias, people are too busy to spend any time learning about it. That's the main ones. So I don't know. Tommy, Fold versus Bitcoin Well. Both. In Canada here, that comparison would be like ShakePay versus Bitcoin Well. I use ShakePay and Bitcoin Well. I use ShakePay for like my purchases. I earn sats on every purchase. I do the roundup feature where I buy $3 worth of Bitcoin every time I buy something. And I use Bitcoin Well to buy, recurring buy, and swap on there. So I'd say both.